Alright, what is up, my 59th Battalion? How's it going? Welcome back to another Bad Batch review, episode 4, Cornered. Just came out today. If you haven't seen the episode, make sure to go watch it as well. And so let's get kicked off, starting to talk about it. So we start off in the early parts of the episode. In the beginning, we see them basically talking about Idaflor, which is an uninhabited planet where they're planning on hiding out, trying to escape and hide out from the Empire. You know, their ship is on the wanted list. They're wanted clones right now. Omega's wanted. And they talk about Pantora, which actually is also mentioned in episode 1, season 15 of the Clone Wars. It's not really shown in the Clone Wars, but it's just mentioned there. And it's really cool because we actually get to see in this episode what the planet is like, what the cities look like, and it's actually really cool. And the reason why they have to go there is mainly for supplies, and there's apparently issues that are going on with the ship that we'll get onto later on. What do you think about the whole beginning part of it, to where the ship is still damaged, they're trying to find a place to hide? What do you think about their choices?
I really didn't like how it's starting to go off, because again, the last two episodes where ship damage, go to place, fix ship. Like, it feels like it's starting to feel a little repetitive, but I mean, it is what it is. But it kind of leaves it more open to Omega in a sense, because she says, like, oh, when they mention Idaflor?
Idaflor, yeah.
Yeah, Idaflor. When they mention Idaflor and they said they're gonna hide out there, she says, oh, I've been on Camino my whole entire life. I don't want to be stuck in another place. So it goes to show that, you know, Omega right now doesn't feel like she's in the mindset to stay like one single place for however many years of her life has to be. But when they ultimately changed the course to go to another planet to fix the ship, she looks at it like she's gazing upon it, because there's going to be more things that she gets to see. And it kind of does do well with Omega in the sense of, like, she's now like seeing all the things that she wants to see. But again, it's starting to feel a little bit repetitive in that sense. And I really hope that the next episodes don't turn out that way.
I agree. I feel like they are. I mean, it's still early on in the game. It's definitely early on. You know, we're only episode 4. But I definitely agree that I hope they, you know, get back to... Because the way that I'm looking at it right now is, it's like you're in an RPG. And right now, to continue on to do the rest of the main quest, you have to go and complete these 3 other side quests, which is kind of what it feels like, right? The first side quest is your ship is damaged, you have to repair it. Second side quest is literally running out of supplies, you need to gather more supplies, so on and so forth. And it just feels like it's kind of getting, after the first couple episodes, it feels like it's getting kind of repetitive. Episode 1, however, was an amazing episode, but, you know, I agree that I hope they cut off from this and go back to the whole idea. Now, anyways, they land at Row Station at Hangar Raspar 6 to get their ship repaired. Now, they pay the mechanic, and the mechanic is like, you know, he's like, all right, give me your scan, you know, give me your chips, give me your code, so that way I can scan the ship, you know, log it, basically. And they're like, no, we want you to skip it. And he's like, okay, fine, I guess I could skip that for the right price. So they pay him. After they pay him, the mechanic actually sees these clones and recognizes them, and recognizes Omega as well, and contacts what appears to be a woman bounty hunter who actually, we don't realize, who we'll talk about later on also in the video. We don't know who she is at the moment. She's a brand new character, apparently, in the Bad Batch, and we don't know who she is, don't know where she's from, has no affiliation with any of the previous episodes. She's just coming out of nowhere.
I honestly saw it coming once he said, oh, I'll skip your ship for the right price, you know?
Yeah.
You know, those types of people, oh yeah, I could do this for you for the right price, are always gonna turn their back on you, like, when you don't even realize. So him doing all that, it felt a little cliche, but, you know, stereotypical stuff. You know, you need to have your store rolling, the ball moving. So, you know, I found the introduction to the new bounty hunter to be very interesting, because it actually gave like a little bit of a different twist to this time. because we have no idea, like, who they are, who they're working for, this or that. Oh, all we know is that once it's shown that um the mechanic contacts her, we find out that who she's hunting for is Omega. As like in that little scene, it shows that her little I
Hologram.
forgot what's the
Her
yeah,
hologram. Yeah.
her little hologram is Omega. So now that gives a little bit more of a twist, because it's usually like the Bad Batch that's like getting hunted, but now it's actually Omega. So now it also brings me to believe of Tarkin doesn't know about Omega. So now question is, who is hunting for Omega? Now that is the real big question, which actually
Right.
gave me a little bit more of a interest, more of an interest into this character.
So we'll actually talk about that later on, because I've actually found out who the bounty hunter exactly is, and who could possibly be the one that is basically hiring her to who her partner is, who her boss is, basically. Because we see that in a certain show, which we will talk about later on in this video. Now, Hunter, Echo, and Omega, and want to go shopping. They basically want to go shopping to gather supplies. They need supplies. There's no food, no drink on the ship. They're running low on pretty much everything. There's nothing on the ship. The ship is damaged. And so Tech and Wrecker stay with the ship at the hangar. Meanwhile, Hunter, Echo, and Omega go shopping. Omega's like, shopping? Oh my god, like, total, like, she's super excited. Hunter's like, nah, this is strictly for supplies. We're not sightseeing. We're not doing anything like that. And Wrecker's all jealous because he wants to go with them. And he doesn't want to be all bored staying with Tech and having to deal with the ship. What's really funny is this was kind of like a comedic episode also, because we see Echo disguise himself as a droid, excuse me. Not a battle droid, a regular droid. It's really funny because they're like, oh yeah, to blend in, but yet here you have Hunter walking around the streets in Pantora, in this marketplace, with like these tattoos and the ribbon, the bow tie, looking like Rambo, basically, and it's just like, well, blending in, okay. Well, anyways, they come across this merchant, and what happens is they don't have enough credits, and so he's going to be selling. Hunter tries to sell this item to him. This, oh shoot, what the heck's it called? Oh, well, I'll get back to this. Before they get to the merchant, they actually realize that they're actually not alone on the planet. Imperial clones are seen marching through the streets. Now, apparently they're celebrating the end of the war, and Omega's not really sure what's going on. Why are they cheering, for the clones? She's not sure. All she knows is what she knows, that basically, she didn't even know the war is over, actually. So this is all new to her, and everyone's wondering, like, why are they cheering? No one knows what's going on. And we see another chain code post as well, like on Seleucami. In the first and second episodes, I believe, we see that chain post, and Hunter tries to basically sell this merchant a pyrodenton, which he says is worth about 1,800 credits, which, it doesn't really bring a smile to Hunter's Hunter's face when he says it's basically worth nothing. The merchant wants to purchase Echo instead. He takes an interest in Echo. He sees him and he's like, you know what? That's an interesting droid you have there. I'll give you 2,000 for it. So we see him want to purchase Echo for 2,000 credits, but Hunter's like, okay, you know what? Let me talk to Echo about this, and we'll talk it over. He's like, all right, everyone knows Echo's worth more than just 2,000 credits, so he's like 4,000 credits, right? Hunter's asking the merchant for 4,000 instead, and they come to a deal at 3,000. And so Echo's not super happy about this, but he knows it's best for the team that they'll get 3,000 credits for a little scam, basically. So what do you think about that? Them going on this shopping mission, Wrecker and Tech staying behind, especially Wrecker out of all people. You think Echo would, but this time it's Wrecker staying behind and them going out shopping. And then you see this whole situation with a merchant where they sell off Echo to the merchant. What do you think about all that? I thought it was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. Like, they're also like, they're also being really like they also put their brains to it because they're when Wrecker says why don't I come, and even Echo says look at you, you stand out like a sore thumb, because like they know they're being hunted, so they want to be as discreet as possible. And being how big Wrecker is and how he looks, he'll obviously stand out. So I found that like pretty interesting. With the whole entire Echo thing, I found it also pretty hilarious how he's just like he was just helping Omega. He has no idea what's going on between Hunter and this guy, and Hunter comes out of nowhere saying like, hey, you're gonna be a droid, we're getting money.
Yeah.
And him just saying like, okay, well, I'm at least more than 2,000, and then being sold off for 3,000. He's just like he just sighs like, like this is how much I'm really worth, 3,000 credits. Like, dang it. But I actually found that pretty funny. And then like obviously with Hunter saying, is like a short time thing. All we need is just the credits. Wait a bit, and we give you the signal. You dip. And again, it's not that hard for them to like completely like leave without being either noticed or leave without even caring and fighting back. So doing that was actually pretty smart on their end, but at the same time, it was just like it felt like you need a little bit more of a comic relief at that point. And it being sold off for 3,000 credits was pretty good comic relief.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, while Hunter is selling off Echo, Omega sees a cart. Now, she's playing with the doll that was at the merchant's shop, and she sees this little cart pass by her that has, like, these creatures in them that are, like, acting like puppies. You have the cuteness and the adorableness and even the sounds that a puppy would make. And of course, just like every person ever, you'd always follow that sound, right? You'd always go to that sound because where that sound is, that's where cuteness is. So she follows it, and she realizes that she is super lost. And this bounty hunter spots her. The bounty hunter that we see early on in the episode is on the planet, spots her, goes over to her, and asks if she's lost, offers her help and stuff, which obviously it's a big old trap. And it turns out that bounty hunter is actually Fennec Shand from The Mandalorian. We see her throughout the Mandalorian episodes, and we know that her boss is Boba Fett. She works with Boba Fett. So this leads me to think that will we see Boba Fett later on in the series? Now keep in mind, this is near the end of this is basically the end of the Clone Wars, incredibly early stages of the Empire. So Boba Fett would most likely be in his late teen years, considering that in the early series of the Clone Wars, we see him as just a kid still. So I'm assuming he's probably going to be in his late teens. However, it's really interesting that we see Fennec in this episode, because this brings a new antagonist into the series. Instead of it just being, Tarkin or, just Imperial clones, stormtroopers, Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin. Instead of them, we have a brand new antagonist that is just as threatening and just as intimidating as Crosshair. So what do you think about them bringing in Fennec and all this, and her fighting capabilities of literally knocking out not just Hunter, but Wrecker as well, like later on in the episode? Like, what do you think about, I mean, she's a fierce fighter, but what do you think about their choice of bringing her into the show?
I thought it was a great choice, because the thing is, it's a Bad Batch. She needs someone who is either on par with them or someone who is stronger. The fact that they chose her really goes to show that, that like how well their fighting capabilities are when they're together, as opposed to when they're separate. But it just seeing her like going through all this, like, it shows that, like, not only is she a capable shooter and chaser, like, she's also a capable fighter. And it's just very interesting to see. And it also, like, not only does it give us like the feeling of like, oh, not only is like Black Empire after them, now Fennec is after them, along with Boba. So it's just really interesting to see, and I can't wait to see what they do more with her and her encounters with them, because we already know that once she sees them, that's it. She's going to chase them until they either A, kill her, or B, incapacitates her long enough for them to escape before she can even chase after them. So it's not like your stereotypical, oh, let's fight a drone, let's, kill this, like, trooper and then leave. No, like, they actually have to, like, think things through now, which now brings into their, enhanced abilities more into play. Now they're gonna have to start using those more, as opposed to before where they weren't using as much when they're in fights.
Yeah, I agree with that. One thing, though, that I have a problem with is that, and yes, Fennec is an insane bounty hunter, an insane assassin. She's a really good fighter. But you're going up against this elite squadron of clones. Yes, it's a 1v1 fight, but going up against someone like Hunter and Wrecker, I mean, if she went up against Tech, I could understand, or even Echo, then yeah, or hell, even Crosshair. But going up against Wrecker and Hunter, who are like two top-end, close quarters combat fighters, hand-to-hand combat fighters, you think she would have some difficulty, but in the show, as always in all shows, to introduce a new character, you have to make them, like, seem overpowered than the main characters. And they kind of did that, which I thought was interesting, considering I was expecting, Wrecker to completely knock her out when they fought in the sewer system. I thought that was going to happen. But anyways, getting back to it, Hunter gets knocked out by Fennec, and these Pantora guards come running in. Now, Omega's on the run, and of course Fennec chases after her, and Hunter contacts Wrecker and Tech and Echo saying, hey, Omega's being chased by this bounty hunter. We need to help her out. I'm down, basically. And so Echo's like, you know what? I'm in the shop. Here are these 3 Astro droids, Clink, 225, and DK3. By the way, shout out to Clink, my boy Clink, the one with the little arms. That dude is MVP overall in this entire episode. They go back to the ship to help rebuild the ship and to help find Omega as well, which is really cool. So what do you think about them implementing it to where Echo was able to convince the droids to work together to help get them off the planet and help save Omega in a way?
I found it really funny because, these droids are just like, when you first meet them, they're all like disoriented and like they don't really want to be with this merchant, and you have the one CP droid that's like, oh, I'm like leader around here, and Echo's like, yeah, and pulls out a gun. It's like, you want to say that again? You want yeah. I'm the leader now. I found that really funny. And then once he gets word that they need is when he finds out they need like maintenance droids, and he sees the 3 little droids right there, he's like, I got an idea. And so he goes and releases them, and the one CP droid's like, no, we shouldn't leave. And he's like, hey, if you help me, you're the leader again. Keep in mind about that. And so, and you see that these 3 maintenance droids were willing to go, and once they get to the ship to start repairing it, the CP droid's like, I can't repair ships, but the 3 little droids just went bonkers. They're like fixing something amazing, and they just start going ham on the ship just to fix it. It was a really funny moment in that episode. It kind of made me laugh a little bit, not gonna lie, because like usually droids, like in most like things, like most movies and stuff like that, like robots are usually shown without emotions or anything like that. But like when it comes to like stuff like Star Wars and stuff like that, the droids, like whenever they get to do their purpose, they light up. They're hilarious. Yeah, exactly. Like they light up, like they show emotion, like they're happy to do it, and they definitely go do it.
Yep. And we've all seen how sadistic R2-D2 can be also. I mean, just watch episode 3 where he burns the super battle droids completely. Like, I love how each and every one of them has their own different personalities. It's so great. So great.
Yeah.
In the sewer system, which is where Omega decides to go into to escape Fennec, she basically comes across Wrecker, which is actually really interesting, because I thought the way the camera angle was, I thought it was going to be Fennec herself that she came across, but no, it was Wrecker. And Wrecker has Omega escape only to be led to a dead end, which is basically like this 50-foot, 50-story tall, like she's basically like on the edge about to fall off of this building, of this kind of like pillar basically. And Fennec knocks out Wrecker, and Omega's like hanging on for her life, for her dear life. And before Omega falls, Fennec actually saves her, which of course is understandable because, she's supposed to bring Omega in alive. Yet at the same time, we don't know who she's supposed to bring her alive for or into. So I'm assuming it's the Kaminoans. The Kaminoan or Tarkin are the ones that hired her. It's got to be those two. One of those two. I think it's more Tarkin, though. He's growing desperate. He wants her back, so I'm assuming it's her. It's him. Sorry. But the bounty hunter saves Omega, and she drops her on what looks to be this truck full of soft cargo. Now, here comes Hunter on this speeder bike that he took from a civilian. Him and Fennec are in this whole firefight that's going on throughout traffic, and Omega pulls a lever to cause the truck bed to dump its load, basically knocking Fennec off into another vehicle, and she's hanging on to a rope, one of the cargo ropes, for her dear life all over again. And what do you think of that part, the suspense there, to where it's like at any moment Omega could have fell, which I thought was going to happen at multiple times, and she would just be done for. It'd be the end of her character. What do you think about that, all that scene of like the wild goose chase style stuff that was going on there?
I actually liked it because it gave a little more action to the episode as opposed to just fight. Like stand there like shooting each other. It gave it gave a little more excitement to it because this is the first time like they're actually like running away from someone, like actually running away and like trying to hide and trying to find Omega. And this wild goose chase actually, did the episode perfectly because Omega doesn't know where she's going. She's just running all over the place. Like she's trying to find any like route to try to break through and like confuse Fennec, but of course doesn't really happen. And it just gave a little more suspense when it came to her like hanging off, like about to fall, and Fennec saving her. So again, it was really done. I loved it. I actually kind of enjoyed it because again, it broke away a little bit of the mold of just a standard shootout.
Right.
So the way they did it was really well done. I actually did enjoy it.
Yeah, it was a really cool way they laid it all out. Once Hunter saves Omega, they actually use, what I really liked is how they had him use the explosive device, the pyrodentin that they were going to sell off, which they didn't, to basically knock off and actually cause a sprain in Fennec's leg, which caused her to start limping and basically allowed them to escape away from her and get back to the ship. Well, during this time, the ship is being repaired, and when they get back, the ship is repaired, and Echo thanks the droids for their help and sends them on their merry way back to where they want to be, which I was kind of disappointed because I thought, there was going to be a whole scene where the droids wanted to come along with them. They liked the freedom. I thought they were going to do that. I really wanted Clink to go with them, but I guess not. I guess that didn't happen. So anyway, they tell Omega back on the ship after they leave Pantora that she is now a target of a bounty hunter. And, no one wants to tell a kid that they're a target of a bounty hunter. No one wants to tell anyone that. And, you could tell that all of them are, like, very saddened that now she's a target, because they already knew that they were a target, and they were fine with it. They were like, okay, we're on the run from the Empire, no big deal whatsoever. What's one bounty hunter, right? Now they realize, okay, Omega is a target. This is serious, guys. And so they're pulling like the family card right now, and they're telling her about it and talking to her about it. And they say they basically need to find out who she is and who hired her. Well, just looking at her facial features, her personality, her characteristics, her attitude, it's Fennec Shand from The Mandalorian. You do a side-by-side comparison, and it's literally the same character, and it's not just me thinking that, it's pretty much the whole Star Wars community, viewers that are believing and saying that as well. It's really cool. Part of me that is basically saying that this is not going to be a good thing at the same time, because them saying that they need to find out who she is and who hired her leads me to think that they're going to bring it onto more side quests, more side stories in this show, rather than them continuing on with the main quest and the main, story of this show. Basically, I feel like they're gonna take some time to go and jump around to where it'll be about, the Bad Batch and Omega, and then it'll be at some episodes about Fennec, and then some episodes it'll be about Crosshair. I mean, in most of these parts, it feels like we've only seen Crosshair like one time, and that's it. And it's like, okay, well, what's going on with Crosshair? At this time. Like, we rarely see the guy anymore. And, I feel like these episodes should have been, and I don't mean to sound like a negative Nancy throughout this video, chat. I apologize. I'm, like, super crazy tired. I feel like the episode should be like an hour long, at least 45, 50 minutes long, because the 25 minutes is just really pushing it for me. It's kind of cutting it because they're just starting to feel like filler episodes at this point. So I hope they break away from that. What'd you think of it so far? I thought the episode was kind of like a 6 out of 10. I don't think it was the worst, and nor do I think it was the greatest out of the 4 that we have. So what do you think about? What did you think about this episode so far? What did you think about the ending and all that?
I would give it at least a solid 6.5 or 7, only because little comedy stuff thrown in here and there, and just like it being a little bit different. But I really do wish that we get to at least like some big story driven plot soon, or else, like, to me it feels like it's gonna be a slogfest earlier on. And I mean, the first few episodes were really good, but now it's starting to feel it's slowing down a bit, and I feel like it's slowing down a little bit too much.
I agree.
Yeah. So I honestly hope that we at least get a little bit more of a change on the next episode, or at least get something big, because at the end of episode 1, where they talk about Rex, and then episode 2 they still continue about Rex, but in 3 and 4 it's just that whole entire thing like died off, so we have nothing to go off on Rex or anyone else. It kind of like teased like a fishing pole, like fishing the bait. They teased us with the bait, and then they just took it away from us. So I just want something big, on the next episode, because at this point, if it starts slowing down and doesn't get better to like episode 11,
Yeah, because
that's gonna be terrible.
I was definitely worried. I'm definitely worrying about that, because episode 1, phenomenal. Episode 2, great, because in the end of episode 1, they say that they know a friend. They have a friend. They know a guy who turns out to be Cut, who was shown in the Clone Wars, and that was on Saluka Mai, and that led up to episode 3, where episode 3 we get more about Crosshair and his new squadron, and Tarkin and his opinion on the clones, so on and so forth from that, and that was a good episode. But I mean, in this episode, in episode 4, you look at it and you remove the comedic effect. It's literally them, and let's say they didn't have Fennec in there, they didn't have the bounty hunter storyline in there. Let's just say that didn't exist. It would have been just them repairing the ship and shopping. It would have been Phantom Menace, like, all over again. To where literally it's land the ship, repair the ship, get the parts, get supplies, and we're out of here, right? It's like, I don't know, it felt like me just watching someone go on Amazon and buy something. I don't know. But I agree, I'm gonna be really disappointed if it turns out to where it's like, because I don't want to do this. I don't like ever doing this to someone, when they ask me how a show is. I don't want to say, oh, the show's great, but skip episodes 4 through 11 or whatever, because jack shit happens in them, and just watch these ones, and that's it, right? It's like, I don't want to do that, It's like, you need to pick up the pace, a little bit here, So, anyways, that's it, viewers. You can see how tired I am is.
Yeah, pretty much.
So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought about the episode down below in the comment section. Make sure to hit that like button, blast that subscribe button, and as always, may the force be with you all.
See you.